Good morning, students of ninth standard. When I was teaching you the grammar about verb and tenses, I have already spoken about the use of verb, okay? That is how it is used to have and to be and to have. The use of have I have already spoken, and that is what is in the lesson 1.4. Have you thought of the verb have? So I will not give more attention to this because I have already done that in the previous in my grammar lesson. Okay, so just you go through this lesson, get the understanding of this, and now I'm going and complete this work 1.4 at by yourself because I already taught lesson before in the grammar. Okay, but now I'm going to take the lesson 1.5, that is the necklace. Okay, now you know about the necklace. What is the necklace? The necklace which the women's wear around their neck, that is what is the most important thing. And this in this necklace, this part is that there is a lady who's very good, and she has a necklace, and that necklace looks very nice, and then the necklace is lost, and then someone else gives the necklace and she wears a necklace. Okay, that is what is the about the whole poem about that. Okay, necklace, which we shall learn. The necklace. Part 1. Matilda was a pretty and charming girl, born as if by an error of fate into a family of clerks. She had no means of becoming known, understood, loved, or be wedded to an aristocrat, and so she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. She dressed plainly because she had never been able to afford anything better. She suffered endlessly, feeling she was entitled to all the luxuries of life. She suffered because of a shabby, poorly furnished house. All these things that another woman of her class would not even have noticed tormented her and made her resentful. She dreamed of a grand, palatial mansion with vast rooms and inviting smaller rooms perfumed for afternoon chats with close friends. Yet she had no rich dresses, no jewels, nothing, and these were the only things she loved. She wanted so much to charm, to be envied, to be sought after. She had a rich friend, her former schoolmate at the convent, whom she avoided visiting because afterwards she would weep with regret, despair, and misery. One evening, her husband came home with an air of triumph, holding a large envelope in his hand. Look, he said, here's something for you. She tore open the paper and drew out a card on which was printed the words, the Minister of Education and Mem George Ramponi request the pleasure of M&M, Mr. and Mrs. Loisel Company at the Ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th. Okay, M stands for Monsignor and MME stands for Madame. Okay, French terms to address Mr. and Mrs. in English. Instead of being delighted as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation on the table resentfully and muttered, what do you want me to do with that? And what do you expect me to wear if I go? Main thing was what that she should wear. She had nothing to wear, that's what she was saying. He hadn't thought of that. He stammered, why? The dress you go to the theatre in, it seems very nice to me. He stopped, stunned, distressed to see his wife crying. He shuddered, what's the matter? Let's see, Matilda. How much would a suitable dress cost? She thought for a moment, computing the cost. Computing means calculating the cost, and also wondering what amount she should ask for without an immediate refusal. So that whatever she asks, he should not refuse. Most of the time, women always think how much to ask so that the husband should not refuse. So that much only money she should ask. At last, she answered hesitantly, I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it with 400 francs. He turned a little pale. because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun for a hunting summer in the country near Nanterre with a few friends. However, he said, "Very well, I can give you 400 francs, but try and get a really beautiful dress." The day of the party drew near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, restless, anxious, though her dress was ready. One evening, her husband said to her, "What's the matter? You have been acting strange these last 3 days." She replied, "I am upset that I have no jewels, not a single stone to wear. I would rather not go to the party." Now, stone to wear means not the stones, but the jewelry. Okay, stone jewelry. We have emerald, we have jasper, we have different diamonds. These are all stones. "You could wear flowers," he said. "They are very fashionable at this time of year." She was not convinced. The next day, she went to her friend's house and told her of her distress. Madame Froister went to her mirrored wardrobe, took out a large box, brought it back, opened it, and said to Madame Loisel, "Choose, my dear." First, Mathilda saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace. She tried on the jewelry in the mirror. She kept asking, "You have nothing else?" "Why, yes, but I don't know what you like." Suddenly, she discovered in a black satin box, a superb diamond necklace, and her heart began to beat with uncontrolled desire. Her hands trembled as she took it. She fastened it around her neck and stood lost in ecstasy as she looked at herself. Then she asked anxiously, hesitating, "Would you lend me this, just this?" "Why, yes, of course." She threw her arms around her friend's neck rapturously, then fled with her treasure. Rapturously means with great joy. The day of the party arrived. Madame Loisel was a success. She was prettier than all the other women, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. She danced wildly, with passion, forgetting everything in the triumph of her beauty and success, floating in a cloud of happiness. Matilda and her husband left at about 4 o'clock in the morning. When they were finally in the street, they could not find a cab. They walked down toward this sign till they found one. They were dropped off at their door in the Rue des Martyrs, and sadly it was all over for her. In front of the mirror, she took a final look at herself in all her glory, but suddenly she uttered a cry. She no longer had the necklace round her neck. "What is the matter?" asked her husband. She turned towards him, panic stricken. I no longer have Madame Foster's necklace." He stood up, distraught. "What? How? That's impossible." Worried and disturbed. Okay, this is the first part of the necklace. We shall learn in the next class the second part of the necklace, what happened after the necklace was lost. Thank you.